We speak the same words, you and I, but we don't speak the same language. I'm not like most of you, and neither are my friends, and the truth is I actually like being unlike you. I like my big, complicated shoes and my industrial rock music and my black fingernail polish. And most of the time, I don't even mind the label of Generation X. Actually, I like it so much that I put the word angst on my license plate. But as much as I pride myself on being different and being edgy, I have to admit that on some cellular level, I'm really not so different at all. Because each new generation that comes along just flaunts its fashions in the faces of those who are older. I mean, all I've got to do is look at my parents in the 60s, of pictures of them in their funny pants, and I realize that they were pretty different from their parents, and they were pretty proud of it. So in spite of the way my generation looks and the way we talk and the funny-looking people that we've made our heroes, I think that you can relate to us. Because I think that you know what it's like to be homesick for a place that you've never had. I think you know what it's like to want to be someplace where someone speaks your language, where someone understands who you are and why you are who you are. And I think you know what it's like to spend your entire life searching for this intangible something that can get inside of you and fill the center of your soul. Something that you look for at 2 o'clock in the morning when you've got all these questions and nobody to answer them. But because we're different, the way that we look for answers is very different, even though we might be asking the exact same questions. And it's not so much that us Gen Xers think that we're so mature and enlightened. It's that we're really jaded and cynical. Because in a more literal sense than any generation before us, we've really seen it all. The world we know is really different than the world that you knew when you were 20-something. We grew up to expect that promises would be broken. We're the children of divorce and abandonment and disillusionment. You tell us about the American dream, and we'll say, well, why bother? What's the point? Because we don't believe in fairy tales and happy endings, and it's not that we don't want to. It's just that we know it's a waste of time. The rules have changed so often for us that it's really not a big deal to break them anymore. Religion isn't the moral code that it was for our grandparents. Actually, most of us grew up on Sunday mornings watching cartoons instead of sitting in a pew somewhere. And the lines that used to define sexuality into these nice little compartments, they're completely blurred. There's no subject and no partner that's taboo for us. And marriage is not a given, just sex. There are no absolutes for us, no real solid right and wrong. We just believe what we can see and touch and feel. Tell my generation, just believe, and we'll hear you say, stop thinking. Talk to us about this guy named Jesus, and we'll say, yeah, but what about Buddha and Muhammad? Tell us that you have peace, and we'll just point out all the turmoil. Tell us that church can be a community, and we'll say, well, look at all the cliques. Tell us God is love, and all we see is division. And the whole time you're talking, I'll be waiting for you to finish and listen to me, to see who I am beyond what I look like, and to see that I have a story that makes me who I am and makes me believe and think the things that I do. We don't know what truth is, but we know that we want something true. We're just a whole lot better at the seeking than we are at the finding. But in spite of ourselves and our complicated shoes and our overanalyzed theories about life, we need to hear what you have to say. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going, and we certainly have no idea how to get there. But we realize that you've been where we are. So your experience with this life is important to us. We actually want to hear about it. Because we need to know how you know who Jesus is. And we need to know how you know that the hope that you say that he has is real. We need to know how it works, just like you needed to know, and the generation before you and the generation before them. You're sitting here today because one day someone listened to you. Someone looked past the way you looked or the differences that they had with you, and they didn't give up on you. And I'm asking for the same thing today. Don't give up on us. Because if you look at my generation, you'll just see a bunch of people searching for an intangible something. But most of us haven't found it yet.